Hello and a warm welcome back to the episode of the WenDirk Cast, of course, with me, Jimbo, and my good friend Calvinator. We will be discussing Let's MFL updates, transfers, developments, and so much more that has gone on over the last 7 days or so. One important note before we kick off this episode: none of what we chat about is financial advice. Do your own scouting or hire a director of Metaverse football. Calvin, we've got our second episode of our mini bench talk, or of our bench talk mini series. It was well received last time we had Palmer on, so we thought we'd run it back because there's lots to talk about in NFL at the moment. So we thought we'd all jam pack it into one episode.
Yeah, exactly. The bench talk is coming off the bench itself, I would say. So we have someone, I think, who is very well versed in the MFL community, because he also makes a podcast himself. He's been on it before. We were talking about it like 4 months ago. So another recurring guest, and we're very happy that he's here. I also really like speaking about that I like animals, right? Animal teams. So you have teams with lions. I think lions are super boring. I was talking about penguins before, but I really like that our guest has a team full of monkeys. I'm playing against one in stone, actually, and also we are playing all together in one league in bronze.
Yes,
which is great. So welcome back to the show, SRMonkey. How are you?
Woo! Thank you very much, chaps. Thanks for having me back. And if you want to get on the show, rebrand as an animal, you know that.
Yeah, exactly. That's how it works. So not a lion. Those are out. Lions are out.
Definitely not a lion.
I think you claimed the monkey. I like that. And then
I've technically got a wyvern. It might be mythical, but it's still are we classing that? I don't think we are really. I think it's a bit fraudulent. Wyverns aren't quite.
It's definitely a heck.
It wouldn't go onto Noah's Ark. Put it that way. You know, I think that's what we're classifying as an animal that has to be a team.
Yeah, when arc. Okay.
Oh,
when flood. Okay, let's stop with that. So we're doing another bench talk episode. So a lot of smaller topics. Maybe they don't warrant a full episode, but there's always so much to discuss that we're going to address all those smaller topics after, of course, our usual updates. And before we move to the updates, I always ask Jimbo how the streams are going, because he really has the stream bug.
I really enjoy it
myself, but it's great.
I love it. Like, if I'm just watching games by myself in the evening, I might as well stream them and get everyone else watching everyone's game at the same time. So we did Wednesday and Friday, the first match day and the third match day. It was great fun. We'll probably do a couple more this week. I think we said we've got the WenDirk be our not the first derby we'll talk about between podcasts in this episode, but we've got our derby on Thursday, so we'll try and stream that, which. In that episode, we will also reveal the two winners of our limited pack giveaway. So if you've not checked that out, go onto our Twitter. You'll see it. Thank you to all of you who entered so far. And just a cheeky bit of alpha this episode. For those listening right now, later on the episode, we'll be giving away a starter pack as well, exclusive to you folks who are listening to this episode. So make sure after the intro, you stay tuned in till the end. You don't just listen to the intro and jump off.
Yes, we're hiding it somewhere probably. So, listen, everything, no skipping.
Yeah,
I think
not they do anyway.
I think Eric before he took like the whole script, right? Or like
he got the transcript. He got the transcript.
Yeah, that was it. The transcript
to find the secret project. He just read the transcript and tried to find the word secret project and skipped
through it into.
We don't want that
document. No.
Eric.
Listen to the whole thing.
Yeah.
Indeed. Okay, great. So a lot happening when WenDirk streams. So let's start with the updates first. And my usual question is, what was your moment of the week? Maybe Jimbo will start with you. We start on a high. You had a great start.
Yeah, my moment has just been how well the Wyverns have started this season. Projected. I don't want to say predicted. Projected 10th out of 12 in our league. Us three chaps, our league, and I'm currently rocking joint first, which is nice. 10 points from a possible 12, 3 wins and a draw. I've played second and fourth in the strength chart, and bottom and then middle of the table, and I've not lost, which is great. I've conceded 2 goals. I probably should have won the game. I drew 0-0 as well against Hamilton Bulldogs. But it was beating Newcastle MFC, which I believe is Eric's team, on the opening day on stream as well. And I looked at his side. I'm pretty sure I'm unsure why he did this, but he rotated against me in the first game of the season. And if you're going to rotate against one of the weaker sides, surely you wouldn't do that in the opening game when I will be at my strongest. Like, I'm at my strongest because I have full fitness. But, you know, he paid the price. I think it was 2-1. And jolly days, you know, beating second in away from home as well. Not that means anything in MFL, but a nice, you know, good away day for the fans, for the Wensome heads. You win some, you lose some, as they say. But yeah, it's been a good week for the Wyverns. And hopefully, you know, after this podcast, after we've done this, we play again against Philly Busters Neon Knights and we can make it another win. But, you know, I don't want to jinx it too early. But it's a good start.
Yeah, we're now going to enter this kind of period where it will turn out, was it luck, you know? Are you really that good? Did you get some lucky wins? We were now entering that kind of...
Yeah.
The same for me, so maybe I can transition to me and then I'll ask David also about his moment. But it's really going bad for like all my top teams. And I'm already starting to like, you know, panic tactically, like, is it wrong? But with 4 matches, you know, it can easily be like a couple of coin flips in the wrong way. It was close goals, or you were lucky with the XG. Some of those matches, I was very unlucky with the XG, but for me, it already seems like, you know, full panic mode. And especially I told you about us, Corsairs, they relegated to silver. I still stacked them. I threw like 5-6 legendaries in there, and they're struggling so hard. So I'm like, am I just, you know, like kind of imposter syndrome? Do I even know what I'm doing? Am I just some tactical noob?
It is early days. It's early days.
That's the thing. We keep talking guess, you know, you need to play at least 10 games and then you start to seeing maybe patterns, and it's 4 games is too early.
I think it's far too early, yeah.
Yeah, but like because I got relegated last season and I feel like this 5-2-3 just doesn't work for... Yeah. I see all the top teams, I was checking this, all the top teams almost have 2 up front, 4-4-2, like you 3-5-2.
Yeah.
And then I'm there with like 4-2-3-1, one guy, 5-2-3, one guy. I'm like, there must be something going wrong, or I'm just super unlucky. I'm already entering the panic mode season.
I think at least give it another 4 more games. Like the Wyverns are joint top, but if we lose tonight and other results don't go our way, I can drop to 5th. And then that's a completely different outlook. My whole week changes if I lose one game, I drop to 5th. From 1st to 5th is painful.
No.
So with your Corsair Cove, if you win tonight, you could technically go up to 4th, you know, and then you're going, automatic or playoff relegation to playoff contention, but it's only 4 games in, you know. We're very, very, very early days. It's a marathon, not a sprint. We're not trying to do the 100 meters here. We're trying to do the
But that is you being rational. But
I mean, I'm in the boat where I can be, right? I'm not joking.
I like, you know, I'm getting hammered all the only team that's going well is Stone, is my new Eindhoven side with Funky Monkey.
New clubs, look.
Great.
I actually only noticed that yesterday evening. I was like, I don't recognise that. And I was like, that's his Eindhoven team.
So maybe I don't know if that was your moment, that you are also doing great there, winning everything, or you have another moment of the week.
Well, you won't be winning that league. Funky Monkey will definitely win that league. It's an OP team, so you just got really unlucky to be in that division. But I don't know. The first 2 days of the season were probably my best parts of the season so far, because I had 100% record, and then it's slowly... Am I allowed to swear?
Yeah, of course you can, yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to think of something funny to say there, but I couldn't think of anything. Yeah, so the first 2 days of the season were good. One thing I would say, Calvin, don't change your tactics tonight. I would just keep them as is tonight.
yeah. I thought so.
Yeah. We have the first derby, don't we?
True. It is later, yeah.
We need an official name for that as well.
If you win that, then I'm probably, we switch places, definitely.
We're in the middle, indeed. I think mid-table.
Because your first game in bronze was phenomenal, wasn't David, with Monkey Magic?
The best team.
Yeah,
like
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati have got the best squad. You know, they've got the most legendaries. They're a brilliant team. And I beat them, and I thought, brilliant, a bit of a fluke, but I'll take it first day of the season. You know, because I'm hoping to finish sort of 3rd or 4th. That'll be like, I'll take that as a win this season. Won the second game, admittedly a little bit lucky. sort of like 90.
Oh, I saw it. Yeah, last minute.
Literally last kick of the game. I can't even remember whether it kicked off again. It literally was the last kick of the game. And then who did I play after that? I can't remember. I lost after that. And then I lost again last night. But the first loss was okay. That was fair enough. You know, decent team. Last night I got absolutely hammered.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You lost to Duff's Wolftown Finest in the 2-1, and then yesterday was Metaverse Wizards.
Yeah, but then, I mean, the trouble with this division is there's a lot of decent teams,
and I think they all are very close together. Apart from Cincinnati at the top, which obviously you beat, which I think is huge. They are almost they're 20 overall ahead, so you think they should really pull away and be in that top 200%. You've got that Bronze Spain team, which I think decreased its strength during the time between the transfer window closing and the league starting. Everyone should probably beat them. I genuinely think that the 10 teams in the middle are anyone could beat anyone. A bit like the championship, really. You might have someone who's really bad and a team that's really good, but in the middle, it's anyone's game. We'll probably all beat each other like a big circle. Everyone's beat everyone at some point in the season.
So, yeah. But this also later we'll talk a bit more about the engine. But how much you need to have some edge. Like, can you really get an edge, or is it also down to luck and those late minute goals? And this, it's a bit hard to tell. That's also with my kind of panicky mode. Like, how much is really like maybe you win 6 out of 10 times, right? Or you can win 7 out of 10 times. But what if you just happen to have those 3 times? 2 times in a row, and then it starts to look very bad suddenly. But let's see after the first half of the season. I think then we have a much better picture of who is like really good in this league and what works and what doesn't.
Yeah.
But definitely, and also something we can talk about later is just bronze leagues getting pretty stacked too. Kind of this strength creep, and the fact that you also got tons of rares for your standards or kind of into the wyverns. But more about it later. So let's talk about the dev updates. I think there were not too much, but some good stuff in there. So speaking about the engine, a patch was deployed earlier in the week to address some rare issues with goalies running into their own goals. So a bit weird. And something about correct free taker. Sometimes, it's also for... I think if I'm right, like depends where they are on the pitch, like which free kick taker is being selected. So there is a little fix for that. Quentin's also working on the next season's engine and especially defensive behavior. He's also been optimizing the performance of the engine. Looks very good. He reduced the time required to simulate 1 second of a match. So they're also still working on that. Their test environment, which they're making good progress. Then Dobby, there he is. He's not often in the dev updates, but there he is. He's making good progress on the favorite player list, kind of the short list. We've been talking about it previously. Would be really nice if that's being released. So he's working hard on that. And they also extended the scope of this new feature that you can also follow users and clubs. Little bit like maybe Football Manager, where you kind of have your overview, your news with the teams and the clubs and the users you follow. Then Marketplace offers some good progress, mainly the blockchain side. Currently waiting on more info from Dapper. Well, knowing how Dapper is, that maybe might take longer than
I'm glad you said this, not me. I was going to say if you didn't.
No, it's in general, I'm really starting to get a bit frustrated with Dapper and Flow, and it really feels like they're just ignoring MFL, one of the most, biggest projects for them, I reckon. And there's not much love they're showing. So hopefully that will change soon. And then the final thing is a new authentication system. It's complete and they're testing it. Any takeaways from that you guys liked about those dev updates this week?
I really like the follow everything. They've extended the scope to users and clubs. I was just thinking of it on the stream actually on I think it was Friday, just after dev updates came out, and I had a look at them, and I was thinking actually from a stream point of view, when if everyone jumps the stream for the watch longs, I quickly follow all of them. and then we go, right, who's got a game? And I can already see their schedule, so we already know.
Yeah.
Even when someone's not said, oh, my game's in 10 minutes, once we've got like a little bit of a gap, I can look into people who are in the stream, because no doubt someone like Trust or Big Wilb or whoever has a game on at some point. So just to be able to really go quickly, look when those games are, from my point, from a stream point, it's really good. I know, David, this is a feature that you've wanted for months. I'm pretty sure. I remember a while ago you did a big tweet of all the features you'd like to see in NFL one day, and this was one of those.
Yeah, it's important. Unless you've loaned somebody a player, it's impossible for me to remember everybody's like, club names and stuff like that. I just want to tag, like, favourite all the agents that I follow all of the time, and be able to instantly see all of the results of the day and click through. And, right, whose matches are up next? Oh, so and so's got a match, and I can't remember. Honestly, it was about 2 weeks into starting the Ramble Discord, and I couldn't remember everybody's teams. Now we've probably got between 70 and 80 people in there that are just specifically in there to talk about MFL. So I've got absolutely no chance remembering their names. But so this would be amazing, because then I can just like tag them. It'd be brilliant if you could have different tags, although I imagine that's probably a little more complicated. But just being able to sort of tag them or favourite them or whatever would just be, it would be a massive help for me.
Yes, I think everyone would like this. Definitely also for scouting, marketplace, being able to kind of keep an eye on that. Yeah, but also just staying up to date, whether it's for us also, or like kind of more like the content creator side. I think it's also great. So
I think there's also a dark side to it as well. If you can create multiple lists, I know there's a couple of users out there, or probably many users, who have a blacklist of managers they will never negotiate with because they've ran their players down to the ground. There'll be like a secret list you've got of all the users you refuse to do negotiations with and transfers with in the future. That will definitely be a list that some people will have if we're able to create multiple lists. For example, I've loaned out my now 19 Romo. I'm on a minimum 15 game
Romo.
contract.
Yeah, we know,
3 games in, not even played a single game. I'm fuming. I am fuming, because in the first training session of the season, he got a +1 in one of his stats, and I went, "Go on, lad, just be this season. You have a little bit of a breakthrough, and it's going to be a breakthrough training season. I don't think it's going to be a breakthrough match season." And if he doesn't play like in the first 6 games, I'm messaging that manager and going, "Just let you know, chap. I'm considering taking force against you mid-season transfer window, and maybe have to. I don't know.
What was the clause? I wonder.
It's only +3 in the minimum 15, but it's 7. It's 7 +3. So it's 10%, and he's in iron. So if he wins and does decent, or doesn't reach in the cup, he's got 10% coming to me, and he's never playing him. I'm like, just play him, man. So if he doesn't do that, then he's going on my not follow list.
Yeah, you would say if you pay so much, you will play him. That's really weird, but yeah.
Well,
and then that 10%. Okay, yes, go on.
I've got a player that I packed mid-season last season called Peroni.
Nice name.
And I can't remember what I got him. I think he was a 75 or 76, and I loaned him to Kev. And he immediately went up, and honestly, his stats just go up every single day.
Yeah.
And I checked in, so I loaned him back to Kev this season because I didn't really need him. He would have been on the bench, and I thought, well, there's no point in me keeping him on the bench. I'll send him to Kev. He hasn't played one game, or maybe he played one game yesterday, but he's still gone up +1 overall. Yeah. His stats have all gone up, but I'm fuming. I had a call from the player the other day. He's not happy with Kev.
I think they're the sort of indicators when players get progression when not playing games. There, in my mind, especially the younger players, I'm thinking to myself, well, I need to either play them consistently for a couple of seasons or put them in dev gen or something, because it seems like that's one of the early indicators that they could be high potential in my eyes. If they're not playing, they're missing 50% of their XP and still rising. Give them 100 and see what happens. Double the amount of XP. Who knows where they'll go?
But that's also why it's so hard to scout for those, talented players, because you can check their progression. But then, if you really want to go the extra mile, you should also go to their player page and see how many games they played. Right? Maybe they went up like +3, +4. You're like, okay, it's not just good enough for progression. Like if you're targeting high potential players. But what if he didn't play at all, right? 0, 0, 0 in 3 seasons.
Yeah.
Maybe he could have had +8 already. So if you really want to find those players, you have to also check that out. So all included in your decision making. So you have to later more about Dio, who is really the champion so far in hunting those players down. I have some examples later. Little cliffhanger, but before we need to talk about the Diamond League. I think it has been a super interesting start. A lot of little stories, I think. So still 2 teams have a perfect start. Meta Mercenaries, maybe that's not super surprising after their amazing season last season.
Yeah.
And Joga Bonito, that's very nice from Sturge. Also 4 wins. So max points, 12 points. Then Legends 9, Bishone 7, Tango 6, Roma, K-Socios. Then Amsterdam Lions 3, Atletico 3, Lettich Leveling, formerly known as Vissel London, 2 points, Basel 2 points, and then BFC Barcelona 1 point. That is very shocking. So, Jimbo, what's your first takes?
Not surprised by Meta. I can't say I'm also surprised by Yoga Bonito, but although winning 4 in a row is stupendous, that's magnificent. I did see there's a team in ICE called Yogo Bonito, which I'm not sure if they're going to get done for copyright. Just changed the letter and said, this is fine. You see a lot of those in supermarkets across the world. They'll be called like Tesco and it'll be called like Pesco, but it's obviously the same branding as Tesco, but it's quite not the same. BFC Barcelona, B sellers having a bit of a nightmare, losing the first 3 and then drawing 1. Also for Dio and his Amsterdam Lions, I think he had a really strong preseason. I remember him saying in Discord a couple of days ago, and he's got one of the top 3 strongest sides, and he's failed to get going. The cliche term, failed to get going in the league. But we're still early days, if we found it. Still early days.
But that's why, Jimbo, I included. You can now see it in our lovely episode agenda. A match between Dio and Ronin. So it was DFC Amsterdam against Meta Mercenaries. Final score 1-4. But if we look at the stats, so I think that says a lot.
Yeah.
Dio had 2.7 XG against Ronin's 1.9. 19 shots against 11 shots, 7 on target against 8. But yeah, Meta scored 4 and Dio only 1 out of this 2.7 XG. So he has been very unlucky. Let's say it went based on the stats like kind of normal. Then Dio had 6 points, Ronin 9. It would have looked a bit better, right? So it's also what we just said, 4 matches in. Can we really say, can we really start to draw conclusions from that or not? Or is it too early to tell?
Yeah, I think if Dio keeps putting these performances in with his Amsterdam Lions, then you'd expect the points will come sooner or later, and then he'll pick up. One interesting note, I did actually look at OM Legends. Their first 3 wins are all 1-0 wins, which I think was quite interesting. And then they lost their 4th game, but to go 3 straight games going 1-0 wins, I didn't really look at the stats in them, but it's either really bad front line, and it's not that bad, they scored a goal, or just really great defending. But I'm not surprised by, say, that top 4. If that top 4 was in it, if you swap OM Legends and Yoga Bonito, I'm not surprised by that at all. Or Sony Milano. That top 4 seems okay.
Top 5 even. I think Tango also 5th spot is I think Farage is doing very well. MSC Roma 2 wins. You need to get in those matches.
A hideous moment on the first day where there was a free kick. I think it hit the wall, went outside the box, and his keeper ran outside the box, played it into just outside the D of the box, and then a player just scored an open goal. Like the keeper ran out, crossed it back into the box, and the team scored.
That's crazy.
There's been some wacky keeper movements this season. Fortunately, I've not been on the receiving end of them, but there have been.
Even with those moments, he still managed to get 2 wins out of 4, which is very good. And I think there must be.
I was speaking about me panicking, but I think in the ballers boardroom,
they're panicking a bit more, which has had a few more managers. I think Greco has taken over Taggard's Buenos Aires, and then obviously a good mate of yours, Dave, and a good mate of our podcast as well, Bob Orange Fly, has taken over.
The Platt side, right? The Manchester from the
the Manchester side. And you had him on midweek, didn't you, David, on the MFL Ramble, and he's just like such a passionate MFL player. So, and he's really gone, I think you used the term like head first, and dive straight into sort of the upper league. So I wish those two new managers all the best in their DAO careers.
I would definitely hire him as a director of Metaverse football or coach.
Yeah, Bob puts a lot of work.
It would be definitely very good. I think he will be the one to solve my problems. But
chance favors.
He already is very
that man's
good.
always prepared.
Yeah. No, when we had him on, it was very super dedicated. Very really.
He just wants to win. He just wants to win.
Competitive spirit, indeed. Yeah. Before we move on, David, do you have any favorites in the Diamond League?
No, I always look out for Kane. Hopefully, Bob in Plaque can get the team up to the top division next season. But it's so tough at the top. Trying to break into that division is just
Yes. Yeah.
It blows my mind to even get up there. But I don't know how high Monkey Magic can go. But I thought like gold might be a possibility. I'm starting to think silver might be the max now, and even that might take a couple of seasons of staying in bronze. A couple of seasons of derbies with you chaps, providing when some Wyverns don't get promoted, of course.
Oh no! Don't. Let's not talk about that.
In the bag.
But bearing in mind with this reward system we've got, I wouldn't mind going up, because if I went up with my current squad, I'd get smacked on last season's reward. But this season's reward, I don't mind going up because I still earn more than
max out on match XP. Everything.
Yeah, I would be. I'd be a nightmare for my opponents because I'd be bringing down their match XP. But I control your own controllables. So I don't care about I don't care about them. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't think I wouldn't say I've got any favourites, and often the only time I look at the Diamond League generally is before your pack drop streams, because I know there'll be a question about it.
Yes,
it's like I speak to Hat and he goes, right, I have the podcast number open, I've got all of this, like, all the information to hand.
How many packs are available?
Questions in last time, so.
Yeah, obviously would have been no games for the last one, but mid-season, that's when you want to be up to date on the Diamond.
Yeah, that's probably the next time I'll look at it.
So we do incentivize people to keep looking around. That is great to hear. Yeah, I think for most people this is the case. Also, they go to scouting sometimes to check out, who's the highest rated, the lowest rating, and that, or how many legendaries. Well, now ultimates, like there are. But,
yeah.
All right.
I've actually, while we're recording, I've just gone through and looked at all their squads, and it's absolutely mental, some of the squads. I thought Basil had decent players, but he's got no ultimate new scarcity cards, whereas some of them have got 7 or 8 ultimates. That's like 95 plus level cards. That is just blows my mind. But
no,
one day, chaps, one day.
I'll be happy just to see one Lego.
Yeah.
Hopefully this season.
Yeah. Progression into Lego, I think, is the ultimate goal, isn't it? Progression into Lego is like a dream, especially if it's like a.
Although it's way more attainable now. If you have talented rare.
Yeah, I was going to say. I was about to say if it's a player that's below 80 rated and you get them into legendary, like a +5 is big, especially for that overall into 85. So yeah, it's not much of an achievement if you go from 84 to 85 and you pack them as 84. If we get them lower, or ideally maybe a common 52 rated to a legendary, we'll all take one of those, wouldn't we?
How many players have you guys got in Dev Center this year?
3.
Dev Center, I just have.
I got 3. 3. A total of 8 or something along those lines. Because I've got quite a. The only commons I get is when I do the pack drop streams and I get a bogus common. I don't go out and buy commons. I'm sort of. I get to know all my players on a personal level, like their their date of birth, their family, like their whole background, their partners. I get to know them on a personal level. I think that really helps with my progression, getting to know my players on a down to earth one-to-one level. Get the best out of the boys, and that's working this season for one of my teams. So I feel like that's the strategy.
Yeah, I feel like I almost have only the guys who really can't find a club I put in there, so they're really the 53.
And this season I've absolutely slammed it. I've got 40 guys in there this season.
Oh wow!
So. Fingers crossed.
Have you gone straight for the 4-season lockup as well, or any?
If they're a little bit older, if I pack a guy who's 25, I just think, I'm not going to be able to use him for anything. No one's going to want to take him on loan. He's not going to work his way into any of my squads. So, sod it, I may as well just stick them in there. So I normally will put those in there maybe for 2 seasons. Anyone sort of 23 and under, I'll stick him for probably 3, and then anyone 20 and under, I'll put them in for 4.
So that's interesting, because I always find an advantage for me when scouting players. If I go for older players, managers are more likely to loan them to me because they're older and they don't really care about them as much. So I'm like, I'll happily take your 28-year-old who's like 80 rated. I'll give him max minutes still, because I can make the most. Because from a club point of view, I don't really care about the age of a player. I just care about his overall. So if you've got any old guys, David, you don't want, let them come to my clubs. I'll happily take them. Retirement home of Jimbo's agency.
I've got absolutely no problem with oldies either. I've deliberately gone out and bought oldies that have had no progression, especially new ones, because they're going to get 1 or 2.
Yeah.
And if you're lucky, maybe they get 4 or 5, and maybe
Exactly.
It takes them up to legendary. So, in fact, one of the old guys I bought had no progression for 3 seasons. I bought him at the start of. Hang on, what season is this? 4.
4, yeah.
So yeah, I bought him towards the end of last season. And didn't have anything then. This season, he'd come out the gate and got +2 already. So he's up to 82, I think, now. So
nice.
Yeah.
I haven't got a problem with age.
No.
Can't really, can I?
Okay. Time for the marketplace. So we have
let's go.
quite some... I think we have like a steady inflow of new managers now every week, about... like 15 to 20 every time I can shout out. So here we go. New managers. Hashbash. Red Eskimo 95. We should say Red Inuit 95. Gisniet. Pate. Rossi JGH. Eric van Poeier. Riva. Petty G. Mini-Me 98. Jimbo, you can say if this is 1 or 2 users. Kyle T123 and Kyle V123. Very dodgy. I don't know what the current
trading between each other as well.
Yeah. Also, Maury, Adam 2233, BOK Chess, and X Joshua 7. And then the new user of the week, there can only be one. It's Greninja, I would say, pronounce it.
Yeah, Greninja, like the Pokemon, Greninja. Yeah.
Greninja. He's like a new user, and he bought 3 legendary center backs. He didn't even have commons or uncommons. He packed in the starter pack maybe one common, sold 1 common, and just bought 3 legendary center backs straight. And he has an ice club. So very curious to see what he's going to do with those legendaries. He also now bought some uncommons while we were just before we started recording. So.
He has 4, yeah.
Yeah, 4 legendaries now.
No, sorry, he has 4 uncommons.
Oh, uncommon.
4 uncommons.
Uncommon. Yeah. He also started buying uncommons now. So very curious, really, what is he going to do with those players? What's his strategy? Is it going to be another... It's almost like a whale coming in, those kind of moves. So we'll keep an eye out for him. Then Common Limited, paid Father the Third. He bought loads of limited players. So probably hoping also for that mass progression. Uncommon rare players. I already mentioned Dio. He really is targeting those high potential players. He again made some targeted buys. So for example, he bought a 20-year-old center back, 71 overall, for 65 USD. You would say it's pretty pricey, but he already had +5. Then he bought another 20-year-old center back, same rating, 71. But this was for 85 USD. But that guy already had +8 progression. So I would say that the progression premium is real, but Dio is willing to pay it because he knows they probably go up more. I didn't see any other legendaries than the Splash, but I also was maybe not too thorough. And about clubs, SUFC Blades 22 bought a silver club from Uruguay for 350 USD from Big Wilbert. I would say it's quite pricey because there's also... clubs around 200, but maybe they already had a great squad for the season.
Could be.
I reckon. Or he also has another Uruguay club, so maybe he just really likes Uruguay.
Trying to think of any Uruguay.
He's from Sheffield, probably.
I'm trying to think of any Uruguay and Sheffield United players, top of my head. My ball knowledge is letting me down. I can't think of it off the top of my head.
Yeah. So either there was already a great silver squad and he thinks he can get a lot of rewards, or he just likes Uruguay and he needed license. But all right, 350 USD for Silver Club. Very nice price. Then over to you for Splash.
Oh, a bit preemptive. I went a bit too soon there. I thought
too soon.
Mate.
You're too eager. Too eager. Do it again.
Amateur Splash of the Week.
Splash of the Week. And this week, Dio mentioned his name a couple of times, twice, 3 times, 4 times. Here's another time. Dio with this week's Splash of the Week. Umar Ubani, 88 rated, sold for $550. Age 23, position right wing back, right back. He's Nigerian, 88 rated as I said, and here's the 6 stats. 78 pace, 94 passing, 83 dribbling, 90 defending, 83 physical, and for those who really care about a right wing back shooting, it's 50. So, like I said, it was Dio who bought him. It was Akane who sold him. And I was having a little bit of a dig through this player's history, you know, his career movements, his Wikipedia page, his SofaScore player page, trying to find out where's this man travelled throughout his career. Is he a bit of a career man, or is he a one club only? He first sold way back in 2023 for a nice $200 when he was 84 rated. And he found his way to Guerrero. And then back in the 11th of May 2024, Dio bought him for $340 as a 20 rated player. Akane comes in with his, 60 grand over 10 days spree and paid $600 for him off Dio for an 85 rated player at 21. And then 2 seasons later, he's progressed by 3, and Dio's brought him back into his agency for $50 less. So Dio's managed to identify his progression, sell him for a decent price, and bring him back in for more. So I think that is some astute, finance negotiation deals. I can't think of the word I'm trying to say here. Business, it's some astute business. Yeah, that we'll call that stonks. Yeah, some astute business by the Dutchman Dio. The Flying Dutchman of business, we'll call him. And he does fly. He does actually fly a lot, so that's kind of.
He does fly.
Good.
We've seen that a few times recently, haven't we? That Carney's been sort of thinning the herd, so to speak.
Yes, we keep talking about it.
Dapper, but
yeah,
we're like, is that solely just him being so sour and just thinking so Dapper doesn't work for me, or I know block me, and I'm gonna sell all those guys even below what he paid for first? Or he also renamed his plat site to Road to Ice. That also doesn't speak. It's a bit some negativity there. The diamond side, we already said Lettich leveling.
Yeah,
like moving away from that Vissel identity.
I feel like I completely sympathise with him though, in terms of like his frustration. You find a game which you feel like you're really going to really enjoy playing, you dump a lot of money into it, and then your frustration is that you then can't. It's almost like you're blocked from doing something you really want to do. I can't. You pass your driving test, you get a really, really nice flashy car for a lot of money, and then find out that you're actually not allowed to turn the ignition and start the car. But you can only sit in it. So I do sympathise with him in that sense. So I hope whatever is happening gets resolved. But like we said earlier, if there's anything by what Dapper and Dapper Wallet are like, we could be waiting years.
Maybe
we may not hear anything.
I have hashtag suggestion: free Akane. We need to support him a little bit.
Free
Akane. We need to make sure he gets support. Put pressure on Dapper. Protest. Boycott them. No one transactions.
No one log in.
No one logs in. But again, Dapper. Like, what are you doing? But maybe we can think about it. If this is not going to be the hashtag, still post it. Free Akane. We need to help him get this matter solved. Okay, great splash. Then IRL, MFL, no Premier League.
No
international break.
England played Friday. I didn't watch it because I was streaming them, but we won 2-0. Bring on the Thomas Tuchel era. Well, all fun and games until we don't win the World Cup, and then he's gone. That's what he's into win. Beat Albania 2-0. I probably should go back and watch more of the highlights rather than just the goals. But it was a nice goal from Lewis Skelly. Happy for him. I think it was his first senior start. I think the last international break he was playing for the under-18s England setup, and then circa 4 or 5 months into future, he's playing his senior debut for England and scoring with a nice pass from Bellingham, and he nutmegs a goalkeeper. So it's good to see up and coming talent like that, and hopefully it's not a one season wonder and he actually continues to perform, sort of thing, because we've seen that a lot with players. But I think he's in the right place, being Arsenal. They're very good with nurturing their talent and bits and pieces like that. So hopefully it's good things to come.
Well, speaking about good potential and progression, he probably has that. So far, looks promising, but you never know how those players.
Yeah, but we need more data.
Yes. It's also funny because we just were talking about older players and appreciation for them, and that they still have a lot of value. They really help teams. Both in MFL, I think they're really undervalued. I also bought some relatively older guys myself, like 28, 29, because they had amazing stats and they were super cheap. So I thought they can really help my side. Well, PSV is a bit my club, so they also thought the same, and they got Ivan Perisic, who is 36-year-old. You would also say, he's very old. Can he still, help your team? He's done pretty well in Champions League. And now against France in the international break, Croatia-France, he was doing really well. Scored a very nice goal. So, little IRL MFL, age is just a number. You can be 36 and still be a great player for Croatia and PSV and in the Champions League. And same goes for MFL. Some guys will have careers, maybe 42, right?
Yeah, 42. Yeah.
That's the max age. So maybe don't sell all your 26, 27-year-old guys if they're still very good, adding value. You can also keep them for maybe another 15 seasons even, and they can really help you. So that's the lesson, the Perisic lesson here. David, any IRL MFL? You watch England? You like the international break, or?
I normally would do, but I was a little bit busy on sort of Friday, so I didn't get around to watching it. But I don't know why I'm just not excited about Tuchel. I was the biggest Southgate defender out there. I thought he did an amazing job. Yes, we didn't win the tournament, and obviously that's what he judged on. But the fact that he got us into such great position so many times, often, then it's down to the players, isn't it? To sort of, take it over the line. Tuchel has just never excited me as a manager. But, I'll give him a chance. Yeah. I'll back him. And, if it ends in epic failure, then I'll take that as a win. If it ends in dismal embarrassment, then he'll be gone.
You feel like you only get to watch the real England once every 2 years where they're in a major tournament, because otherwise we're playing in, I guess, the Nations League. But Nations League is, it's just a filler, because UEFA went, actually, we need more competitive games during the off-season, or when there aren't qualifications. But look at our group stage, for example, when we're in the Euros and the World Cup. You expect England to top it most times and qualify, and then you don't get the real competition till you're in a World Cup or Euros, and then so we only get to judge our team for 3-4 weeks every 2 years.
Well, we've only got a year or so to wait now, haven't we, into the World Cup again?
Yeah,
obviously it's going to be a massive World Cup this time, because they've got 42 teams, whatever this time.
Yeah,
goes on for nearly 6 weeks now. It doesn't end until mid-July, so it's going to be an absolute. I still don't know how I feel about it yet. The one thing I do miss is when the group games are over and you have to wait a single day for the next game. I always find that quite heartbreaking. It's like, no, we've had so many games. Literally, I can watch them constantly.
Yeah.
But that's going to go on for a lot longer this time. So
yeah, you look at the newspaper or something, and you look at the insert of the newspaper of what the World Cup or whatever is going to be, and you go, right, from June the 3rd to July the 1st, I've got 4 games a day, and you go, cool, let's go. And they might be decent. I don't know what the timings will be. I guess it'll be in the evening games for us in England, and at Cal for you a bit because it's over in America. Might be sort of 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. for us, which is probably quite nice. I guess it depends on where the game is, how hot it is. Somewhere like Texas, for example. But hey-oh, we don't want to talk about World Cup too much because we're here for MFL.
And then Bosco will get too excited and post
when international.
And then you get angry again about it. But okay, let's move on quickly. Well, maybe now, Jimbo, we need to talk about what are our rules for the beer top 3.
I was thinking this as well,
I think David already added a beer.
He's had a beer, hasn't he?
A beverage. I forgot exactly which one, but...
I think it was... I really want to say London Pride was what I think, David, you said.
Yeah, it was, yeah. Now, to be honest with you, I don't mind drinking it, but it's not my favourite. I was just, couldn't think of the ones that I like off the top of my head.
Oh, okay. So maybe you want to have another chance?
We could bend the rules slightly, and if you would like to insert a drink which you're definitely more of a fan of, we can pop it into our top 3 on that basis.
I honestly can't think of any. I mean, there's loads of different IPAs, but there's no specific beer. I like going to sort of local breweries where, or pubs, and you just get the nice, you test all the different ones on tap and see which one you like. But I honestly can't think of any, and I wouldn't want to sort of put in, London Pride for me is a little bit like putting Stella in there. It's just like, it's a mass produced. It's nice to drink, but it certainly shouldn't be in a top 3 beers. But
well,
so did you say you're going to have rules then? Because it did feel like
I think the rule was going to be we always,
like one guest, one
unique
beer,
unique entries, if that makes sense. It's unique guests put in entries. So if you're in there putting 2 in there, the viewers might kick up a fuss. But you said like about the IPAs, Orange Fly. Bob is currently the number 1 spot, and he put a Goose Island IPA. So maybe you could,
vouch for.
You could vouch that. What do you call it on LinkedIn? You endorse someone. You've endorsed that entry. You can endorse Orange Fly's Goose Island IPA.
I've never tried it, but I trust Bob.
Trust the Bob.
Trust Bob.
Trust the Orange Fly. Yeah.
All right, so we'll keep the beer top 3 as it is then.
But all of these, like I can't think of the ones I put on there. All these like beer non-beers. A beer and stick an amaretto in it.
Oh, hideous.
Yeah, I mean,
wasn't that Nep actually?
That was
Don't
Nep,
get me wrong,
yeah.
I'm probably going to try it.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to try it because I quite like. What's it meant to taste like?
Oh
Dr.
my
Pepper.
word! What does amaretto taste like?
Tastes
aniseed. Is it aniseed? No.
Yeah, it's meant to taste like Dr. Pepper, isn't it?
Yeah, it tastes like Dr. Pepper. What's it aniseed for? Yeah, I know exactly. It's quite almondy. That's it. It's like almonds, isn't it? Yeah.
I like amaretto. I like beer. I just don't know whether it works together. But next time I'm out, I will try that.
How many beers do you reckon you have to
It
have?
shouldn't be in like a top 3.
The Pentes combo.
I was trying to think how many beers you have to go up to the bar and go, right, can I have a Peroni with a shot of amaretto in it, please? Is that like your first drink of the evening? Is that your last? Is it somewhere in the middle? I don't know. It wouldn't be my first.
It's not a starter, is it? Especially if you're on a session.
Yeah, just go straight
Start
for a
aiming
beer
for
and a
your-
spirit.
And a whiskey chaser as well.
Yes. So we'll keep it as it is then. So just for the listeners, what is the current top 3? Goose Island IPA number 1, Orange Fly, put it in there. Alexis last week, he added Orval, a nice beer brewed by Belgian monks. And Erdinger, Palmer's beer, is in the 3rd spot. So let's start with the bench talk. Loads of different topics. Smaller ones, not like a big one that warrants a full episode, but some smaller ones. So let's start with, for example, the new engine. Did you guys notice any differences? Well, I think, Jimbo, you feel like it treats you well, the new engine. So, but what do we notice? Maybe both visually and
I think
result-wise.
aesthetically, levels above where it was last season.
Okay.
Not even in a step up. It's like a whole escalator ride up. The realism when your players through and they, rather than shooting like 4 centimeters wide, depending on what screen you're watching it on, they now will like sideways pass it to someone else to knock into the net, and just sort of hit the post and someone might knock it in. And there's just so much realism now in around the penalty area in terms of attacking play, not necessarily defensive play. That still feels a little bit wishy-washy, but it sounds like that's something they're working on for next season. But aesthetically, from that point of view, I think it's levels and levels above where it was.
Yeah, I think I agree. Some of the attacking plays I've seen are some really nice sort of like through balls being played, especially by some of those like attacking midfielders. I've seen quite a few times. I'll bring back to the England game, the Bellingham pass for Lewis Skelly. There's a lot of those balls being played in between the centre back and the full back for a winger to run onto, which is quite nice. And something I always talk about on the streams is that sometimes there can be moments in the engine in previous seasons which feel quite predictable, as in you know what the outcome's going to be before it happens. Because the realism's increased in this current season's engine, there's less. I often say on the stream, there's going to be a defensive mistake here and they're going to score, and then that doesn't happen. That happened once last season. I predicted it bang on, and everyone thought I was a magician. I felt I had a massive head for about 10 seconds. Yeah. And but there's less of that now on the streams. It's nice knowing that when a player's one-on-one, I guess it's depending on their stats, etc., they could take it around the keeper, they could pass, they could square it can go in, not just, he's going to try and plant it towards a corner flag on a one-on-one. There's less predictable events happening, which is nice. I actually even saw on the stream midweek my first denial of a goal scoring opportunity, red card, ball played over the top. You can see the striker running through, centre back clearly pulls him back, clips him, ref goes up to him, straight off, fella. And I've not seen that sort of, in my eyes anyway, I've never seen that sort of like straight red before. It's always been like 2 yellows or a red card somewhere in the middle of the pitch. But the red card seems to be happening off the back of like a realistic event happening within the game. But like David said, from a defensive point of view, I still get a few angry moments while I'm watching my games. Put it that way.
Yeah, and they did mention that in the dev update, didn't they? Did they? I'm sure they said that's what they.
Yeah, they said it.
Yeah.
The most common thing I find is like a centre back steps up to meet a player, and then the striker runs behind him, but no other defenders follow that run, and you just go, we get the easy view. We're like a fan. We see the pitch, whereas the players on the ground they can't see all that happening, but in real life anyway. However, defensively there are some improvements.
But often it feels like another defender could easily close the gap, right? And then somehow he slows down or something, or
I saw
like some awkward moments. Yeah,
I saw one photo in the Ramble Discord, and it was someone posted saying like, love this setup from my back line. It's my centre back marking my right back, and they're just like on top of each other, and it's like, and it just made me laugh. I was like, yeah, we've all been there.
Yeah. But what is less is those corner moments, right? Like when was it, like 1 or 2 seasons ago? There was so many moments.
So many corners.
Where they were like, approaching the back line and then it went out for a corner the whole time. It was like 50, 60, 70% of us went out for a corner, and now there's way more also, combinations, crosses, pulling it back or passes from those situations. So that's... Yeah, visually, and indeed, you do see more variation.
I think as well, I want more variation. I don't want to go into a game and go, I've seen this happen before. Sometimes it does happen. Like, you're going to get stomped in a game. You just feel like, it's not going to go your way. But sometimes I try and look at and highlight happening, and I go, I know what happens there. Like, I can see it happening. And we're getting less and less of that, which is really nice. It keeps you on edge the whole time.
Yes. Yeah, so visually, it is better. It's improving. What about the tactics, the instructions? Do you feel any differences? Are you actually still using the same tactics, but now it works less or better?
I run a different setup for the Wyverns that I've done for the last 4 seasons. I run a different setup. I'm not going to say what my setup is, but if you knew what it was, I didn't think it should be working. It's a very weird setup I've got.
But you mean it's very like football wise, like based on normal football knowledge, it shouldn't be working.
I think it's very extreme. It's very extreme. Okay. In terms of like the sliders and stuff, I have them set at. To be fair, you probably go find out what it was, because it's near enough the same as my second team, and I had that on the stream the other day, just talking about it. But I will admit that. I do try and apply some knowledge of football into my tactics, but also like knowledge of MFL into it as well. I feel like you've got to have a balance of the two. Like what works in real life doesn't necessarily work in MFL and vice versa. But I will admit to a degree, I change and hope in some pre-season testing. And if I hope and I just go, right, let's see how this goes. That's where I'm currently at this season. I go, it works, so I'm going to stick with it. But
yeah, fair enough.
But there's some things I definitely don't. I think my preseason testing is me finding out things I definitely shouldn't do in the engine and tactics, rather than things I know I would like to do.
So my takeaway from all of that is that if the Wyverns win the league, they're doing it in spite of you and not because of you.
I'm just not. I need to take some credit somewhere, but no, maybe it is that. Even like my centre backs positional freedom, or just no positional freedom sort of things. Never have them on high. I just know there's certain rules that I abide by not to do with my team instructions, and I'll try and figure out process of elimination, try and find out which things don't work, and steer myself into that way. But most of the time, I just try and get lucky, which is what apparently I'm doing this season.
Yeah, so you also cannot really say anything about it then.
No, I can't say. I couldn't go to say like Bob or Kev, who studies it.
What about formation wise? Like I really now because of my my little crisis I'm having, I'm really thinking like wingbacks 5-2-3, 5-3-2. Good old 4-4-2 seems to just be decent and delivering results. If you were looking at top 3 diamond, I think Joga, Meta, I think they were all like 4-4-2 almost. Or Joe B, Home Legends 4-4-2. Also,
I think last season was the season of definitely having 2 forwards at top was the way to go.
Yeah,
this season there's a little bit more flexibility. We did quite a lot of testing, like we set up like a mini private Ramble testing Discord, and I think between us we did sort of hundreds of matches, and there was definitely a change. They definitely made a change to the beta engine at some point, like middle when we were testing it, because 4-4-3 attacking, which I've used in loads of my teams for most of my career on MFL, was doing dreadfully, losing to everything, and now it seems to be doing well against some formations and not against others. And like the testing that we did actually came out that like it was like 50% win rate for certain formations against other formations, which is probably the way it should be. Then you add a little bit of randomness into it. So at the moment it's quite difficult to sort of work out what works and what doesn't work. So from that point of view, it's a bit sort of up in the air at the moment. But as Calvin said, it's so early in the season, it's quite difficult. But I do think that the 352B, which I believe you're playing, aren't you, Jimbo?
I've run it since season 1. Yeah, I have good success with that this season. 352B. Yeah, I think that that was the one that works the best out of all formations in pre-season. I love it for the wide midfielders. It feels like I used to play 4-2-3-1, and I feel like it's the closest thing to 4-2-3-1, but with 2 forward. You still got that attacking midfielder, you still got the wide play, you still got the 2 CDMs. You're just swapping a defender for a striker. It is a formation that I found, though, quite often in games, one of your centre-backs will just have an awful match. I have last season I had Erwin van Ginkel, and it always dropped like a sub-5 most games, and he'd have like previous 2 seasons be rocking a 7 rating for across a season. I think he dropped a 5.4 last season, around that. So I often found that one centre back can go wayward, and interestingly, I found that 4-3-3 attacking was one of the formations I hated playing against in my 3-5-2 because you used to rip me to pieces.
Maybe not this season.
Well, we'll see. I'm still dreading our matchup, to be fair, mate. I'm still dreading our matchup. Yeah.
So I feel like it's too early to tell for most things, but there's definitely visually things are better. Yeah.
I feel like your 5 at the back seems a bit weaker. Like K Socios in season 2 and season 3, and that sort of like French community had quite a strong preference for 5 at the back, and it seems that some of the 5 backs I've played against recently and what we've seen, and yourself and others struggling a little bit. So maybe it's not as maybe you have to do a bit more tweaking to try and get success with 5 at the back. But
maybe so what my mistake is because I want to make it too much IRL, I have my own principles that I love from IRL that I just cannot, it hurts to do too extreme or unlogical things, and maybe I should just do that, like you said, maybe do some extremes and see, because it's like, if this formation with regular balanced stuff doesn't work, you have to go extreme. So that might be worth testing.
Two out of my 4 seasons in MFL, we'll count 4th as this one, even though it's not finished. 2 out of my 4 seasons, I found my tactics by just randomly putting the sliders on extremes, like extreme ends of the scale in different combinations. And that was the first season I got promoted, and this season, which seemingly overperformed in both. So, early days in, but if I come like top 5 this season, top 6, top half, I'll be very happy, and I'll consider the tactics kind of work. But like the engine always changes, next season they can have absolute pants, and it'll be 5-2-3 is the new meta, and we'll all have to try. The price of wingbacks will go 4x over the transfer window.
I think that's sort of I love MFL. I'll be around for ages and ages and ages. I want to see how far I can get with all of the teams, stuff like that. But I find it difficult to sort of get my head around sort of the tactical adjustments needed season to season. Like if I wanted to, like my gallery has loads of left wingers and right wingers because I've played 4-3-3, whether that be defensive or attacking. Now, if I want to move over and have the flexibility to play 3-5-2, then I need a right mid and a left mid, and none of my guys really can play there. So what I would need to do then is go out and buy 2 more players, and that takes me, potentially over the 25 player cap. It becomes quite restrictive having like multiple formations. Like if every formation does well against certain formations, then it's quite difficult to sort of work out which players you should assign within your gallery, and does give a lot of sort of value to players that can play multiple positions.
Yeah, I always find that I've always stuck with 3-5-2-B on that sort of basis where I go a bit like progression when you control the things that you actually have an influence on. I can't control what the engine's going to be like next season, so I try and have consistency in the formations that I play and get to know 1 or 2 formations best and actually try and fit my gallery around that rather than having the fear of or the chaos of trying to change my agency to fit a particular formation. I've just got, right, let's stick with a couple, let's roll with them, and let's just ride the highs and lows of this formation throughout the engine's maturity. I don't want to think too much about it. As long as I don't get relegated, then I will think too much about it. But for the time being, touch wood.
You're winning the league.
Oh, winning the league. Well, give it another hour and a half, and we'll find out.
I'll say it enough times, it won't happen.
I'm not winning the league. If I win the league, I'm going mental.
It's like this classic press conference where they both teams want to be the underdog, right? And so, you're the favorite, you're the clear favorite, we're the underdogs here, and then put the pressure on you. Okay, let's move on from the engine. And I also wanted to talk about the cup. So it's starting again when this airs. You probably played your first cup matches, right? And of course, with the new reward structures for each cup, it's slightly different, of course, with how the reward, but kind of the structure is the same, that you get MFL for a win. And also there's a bit more spread between making it out of the group and then quarterfinal, round 16, semi, like kind of those rewards. So are you kind of changing your approach to the cup? It's also a bit less rewards.
Well,
maybe the wins are still
like Calva, then I'll be concentrating.
Oh my God, okay. Well, first, do you like the changes, and are you going to change your approach or staying? Same?
Yes, I will. Like I'll be running it. I was saying that was going to run the backups in the cup, but actually I've just looked at the teams I've set for tonight for various games, and it looks like some of my might be a bit of rotation going on tonight. But I was fully intent on not going for the cup at all. And if it happens, it happens. Just running the backups, trying to sort of make tweaks to. And then I looked at a couple of my divisions, and because of the changes they made with the cap, actually it's a little bit more balanced for one. And a few of the teams in some of my divisions, like in Funky Monkey's group in, I think is that Challengers? I don't know which one this is. But a couple of the guys have only got 13 players in their team. Now, I don't know what the minimum you can get away with for...
Definitely not 13.
Yeah, I don't think it's 13. So I saw he only had 30 players, and I was praying I played him like the 3rd and 4th matches. But I think I've got him tomorrow and then right at the end. So hopefully that's a 3-point banker at the end. But So anyway, to answer your question before I start rambling... probably not going to be a priority this season, but the hook of the cup always drags you back in, doesn't it? You get, like, I'm not going to prioritise it. Your backups win the first game, and then you put the starters in the next game, they lose, and that's just how it goes. But
yeah, Jimbo, any changes?
I always like to try and do well in the cup, especially prior to the seasons before the reward change, because that was my way of making up for the lesser rewards from being promoted and not being a stronger side in the division I've been promoted to. However, if the Wyverns continue to do well, and there is a chance we could, dare I say, I got to watch what I'm saying here, get a bit too carried away. If I could sneak a playoff run, or it all goes topsy-turvy.
I know you about the double.
Or if I, sneak a playoff run, or I'm having to fight relegation, I probably will have to sack it. But if push comes to shove and the boys do make it out of the group stage, and we're sitting mid-table in the league with no fear of going down, I'll probably then will switch and prioritise the league. I'm happy finishing between 5th and 8th in bronze. That's where I was, that's above where I'm predicted to. I would then fully go for the cup. But I can see a couple of managers have come from with the very low. What's the lowest one? Rivals, aspirants, one of the two.
Aspirants, I think.
The lowest aspirant tiers do have like some pretty poor per win. Per group win payouts.
How much do you get for those? Because I noticed
it might be like 40 or 50.
Yeah, it's not much.
It's low.
Not so much, no.
Yeah, it's quite low, and I think there's a bit of a chat in Discord about it. Well, actually, ice rewards have gone up, so in theory, that alleviates it. But obviously, it all depends on where you finish in ice and so on and so forth. But
ice rewards haven't gone up, have they?
There's no so nice, but is in like the distribution amongst the league. So like the lower half of ice gets more than I think it previously did in previous seasons.
Oh, did it?
I think so. I might have to. I could be wrong. Someone could fact check me here.
Yeah.
But
I got 6,000 or 7,000 when I won it.
Yeah, it's. I think it's a distribution down at the bottom of ice leagues. But yeah, I probably won't try and prioritize the cup. I used to be quite nice because I did a 4-11 swap, so it was like cup games swap, league games swap back. Whereas now I'm running an 18-19 man squad, so even if I do rotate, it's not really a full rotate. It's like a half strong. It's like a half strong side, and then I'm kind of content. I feel like I'm always playing a strongish side, but that's where I do lack depth for the Wyverns, strength. So that will probably cost me later on in the season in the league. So that's where maybe
you're in the Challengers Cup as well, so you probably got pretty decent team if you're running your first 11 for that cup.
Yeah, but then I feel like because of the lack of depth I've got, I have to run strength in one of them, and I'm going to probably prioritize after they start prioritize the league. But yeah, what about you, Calvin? What are your thoughts on the cup this season?
Well, like before, there were some matches. There was one match last season. I think it was like 41k MFL match. Like if I won, I would be out round 16, and I got this massive jackpot. And if I lost, 41k down the drain. So of course then you're gonna fully kind of put your best team there and then sacrifice a bit in the league for that. Now it's a bit less. Also personally with my situation and not doing so well, I'm really being afraid of relegation, especially after being relegated from gold to silver. So I really want to take too much risks. On the other hand, I'm doing this 18, 17, sometimes even 17, 18 player squads all the time anyway. So I'm rotating. So there is not a lot of possibility for me to really, sometimes with certain superstars or like my best players, I'm like choosing where to play them, when they play, when they rest. But I also have pretty balanced teams. So I think now there's even more reason to just keep rotating and without those huge differences in prize money. And sometimes with a couple of wins, you'll also have a nice bonus there. So I don't think, there's too much. I maybe just focus more on the league and the cup. I keep rotating and there's not much changes for me.
Yeah, but like David said, it's you easily get sapped into the joy and the temptation of the cup rewards once you have a few results go your way. Yes. So 2 weeks time.
I think
will tell
it's
a different story.
It's more for the knockout phases, because then each step is again quite some extra MFL, and then of course when you're already in the quarterfinal, you want to get that cup.
Yeah.
I think for the league, you just let's see how it goes, and maybe I progress, and then I prioritize, and I think that's usually how it goes.
It used to be quite a nice bump for getting through to the round of 16,
Yeah, exactly.
didn't it?
Big one.
You know, and it used to be like, I think last season I got as much from making the round of 16 as I did from winning Iron. Well, it was pretty close anyway. And this season that's been nerfed quite heavily. Like, you know, the money doesn't really kick in until later in the competition now. So, you know, I think you need to make a decision. Like, if you get through the group, you know, if you're close to getting through the group, you really have to make that trade-off with that and the sort of the league now. But
yeah.
Yes, we'll see how that goes. Then, well, I had a couple of other topics here. Maybe we can talk. I think our Bronze League we kind of covered already enough between the lines.
One thing I do want to get a confirmation on is what we're calling our derby, our podcast derbies. I think we've seen like When Ramble has been suggested before. You know, we need to have a name for when. David, you play
When Rambly, I think.
When Rambly.
The When Rambly.
The When Rambly. So yeah, so when you two face off in what would it be? 77 minutes time, something like that. 77 minutes time. Calvin, you got a lot of pressure, mate. I'm not saying there is a lot, but there is a lot of pressure. You're representing the podcast here.
It would be a nice highlight in this week to finish it with a nice win.
0-0, no score, 0-0, boring.
Let's see how it goes.
The When Rambly, okay, we call it that's the official.
The When
name.
Rambly, I think that sounds great. When Rambly.
The When Rambly.
Yeah, the Dirkbly. That sounds the When
Rambly. The When Rambly.
The When Rambly. Let's call it the When Rambly. So the first When Rambly. Yeah, when this airs, we already know who won that, but there will be many. Like
I'm so looking forward to them. I'm looking forward. It's like most games when you look forward to the build up, and then once you're in the game, you go, "Whoa, why was I looking forward to this?" It's like an England game. Oh, I really look forward to England playing. Why was I looking forward to England playing again? What was I supposed to be expecting other than turgidness? Yeah. Good luck, Calva. Good luck, David.
I don't know what to do tonight now. I'll be honest, I checked and I had all rotation in there, every full rotation, and then I just realised that it's the cup tomorrow, isn't it? So why am I doing a full rotation for the cup? I could just play these players in the cup and run the stars in this one. So at the moment I'm up in the air, but I've got
let's see.
Hour and 10 minutes.
Calva runs a 3-5-2-B. You suddenly rock out with like a 3-4-3. Both you play really obscure formations, and it's like, right, let's see how it goes.
Well, maybe I'll do the Jimbo and just make everything super extreme. You know, like crazy compact and then crazy wide attack. That's also funny how that would work. You know, like crazy compact defense and then spread out like crazy. But yeah, we'll see. It will be interesting, and there will be many more When Dirkbies and When Ramblies.
When Ramblies
this season. Okay, then I wrote down also strength creep, probably in our bronze. We noticed this. We also have Iron. I feel like I have very stacked teams, but then they are in the projections. They are like 8 or 9 or 10, and I'm like, wow.
I had a quick glance over the other bronze leagues, and I think we have one of, if not the strongest bronze league in the division. I think it's looking at that middle section of 7-8 teams, the average strength of those. I'm projected 10th. In a lot of other leagues, I'm projected 5th. So I think that shows a lot. There's just not that depth of...
So we are also a bit unlucky then?
I think we're unlucky, but then we can never get out of this. You know, we're siloed into this ladder. We can't escape. We can't escape bronze 16 wherever we go. We're stuck there. So we've got a really strong FC Cincinnati. Really strong. Although, David, you've shown how it can be done to beat them on the opening game of the season, and you rattled them, hopefully, for the remainder of the season for the rest of us.
Well, they lost another game, didn't they, actually? I only just noticed. For some reason, I thought, they're going to go on and win every game now.
I mean, Calvin, you beat Hamilton Bulldogs, who were predicted 4th, I think. Obviously, I went beat Newcastle, who predicted 2nd. The new boys, the podcast boys, have rattled a few Jimmies in the Bronze League 16. But I definitely think there is some strength creep, especially in Iron.
Yeah.
However, long in the future, circa a lot of seasons in the future, because of the rarity decrease for rares, that should in theory become less of an issue. But obviously progression still plays a part in that. But there'll be less rares in the future. Well, starting from now, but obviously when they come out of circulation because of retirement. So hopefully that's not as much as a thing. But yeah, strength creep is definitely is it a problem? I don't
know, but also for us, for people who've been around for like 2-3 years, like, and we know the first, the 0.1 Iron Leagues, and then if you had like some high uncommons, you were already a top team, and now it's like full rare pretty much.
Yeah.
So for us, definitely it looks like a big strength creep.
I mean, even season 1, I had Dematos, who was Ultimate Bride, I think, season 1. He was a 78 rated CDM. I remember people were like, "Why have you got a rare in Iron? Why have you got a rare in Iron?" And it's like, and now it's exactly. Like, "Why have you got a legendary in Iron?" It's just the new normal is that thing, isn't it? It's kind of crazy.
Yes. I think we'll see that slightly less going forward when it all shakes out. I mean, I know people have been saying that since season 1, that, give it a few seasons, it will shake out. But as new people join and they want to buy a fresh license and go from the bottom to the top, which I did, and I wouldn't recommend you do that anymore. Don't start in Ice. If you've got a bigger budget, buy a team further up, because the rewards just aren't there. There's absolutely no point. Like last season, I think I got 5% of the available match XP for the whole team, because literally, even when I was playing teams that were closely matched to Monkey Magic, like the guys paid their backups, so I literally didn't get any +1s from matches. But so there's just no point in doing it. And if you could live with that part, that was fine, because the trade-off was I was still getting some decent MFL. You don't even get that anymore in the bottom divisions.
Yeah.
No. But decent is sort of, I'd spent a reasonable amount of money, so I was hoping for a decent amount of MFL. You need to be sort of, I guess, Iron upwards now for that to sort of happen. So I think Iron could become competitive. And I think for the good of the game, Ice is less strong, or from what I've seen, is already less strong this season. I've got
I agree.
friends that are winning with a sort of 68 to 72 rated players, and they're top of the league, 4 wins from nothing. So
yeah, I really like the Ice's. I really like the Ice's week of this season. I think I think it's a combination of loads of licenses being sold in Ice during the off season, so loads of users coming in, so we're just increasing the amount of teams in the Ice division, but also the rarity changes and the pack player makeup contribution, whatever the changes. There's more commons and more limiters out than there was previously, sort of thing. So therefore, those new players will get those. More Ice clubs, the average rating of a team in Ice comes down, and those new users who come in, get the starter packs, have some low rated players, feel like they can be more competitive with those. And if they can feel like they can be more competitive with lower rated players, they'll probably get the bug and then make their way up accordingly.
So maybe Iron is the new Ice, that people just start out there with their stack teams and then make it up from Iron. But we were just in this awkward phase. They did change the whole supply. They did change, the structure. Rare should be more scarce, but right now with increased rewards, people will also spend it more on rare players. We'll probably have a couple of seasons, right? Well, we said before mass retirement, couple of seasons before that evens out. But especially, I guess, for us who've been playing for since 0.1. It feels like, wow, I thought I would be okay with this group in bronze or in iron, and I'm now in the relegation zone with some rares. So, but it's not bad. It's just a new circumstances, but it is noticeable, and it's getting more competitive in definitely iron, bronze, silver, that level.
Yeah, especially when divisions like bronze are really competitive.
Yes,
and and then at least 2 teams have to get relegated from bronze. So those really competitive bronze teams then become kind of OP in iron, and then people go, "Oh, I want an OP team as well. Give me some rare players." You're like, "Oh, okay." And
yes, exactly.
Snowball.
Domino effect. Snowball.
Yes,
Then I want to talk. Well, I added this because there was quite some discussions during the preseason before we started this season 4, about scouting and contract offers and some percentages and rejections that people were writing. You know, I sent so many offers and I can't get any guys. I keep getting rejected. And then others were like, yeah, but you need to contact people. Then you see percentages of like you said, Robo is like 7 point plus 3. You have people 15 plus 5, 20.
Oh, yeah.
There's like crazy stuff. And then at one point you just, what the hell? I also list my guy for like 20% ice and people signed that. So it's like, I want to talk a bit about like the market, the system, the scouting contract offers. Yeah, just some takes. I already said like you should be networking. Networking is part of the game. So if you want to get guys, you know, join maybe Ramble and then as there, join other communities, build up your own network, make your own community of agents.
I think, but in my opinion, I've got two sides to that. Like, you should have to network, you shouldn't have to. You shouldn't need to do something to get. I guess not say get better players, and you should need to do something to get better players in. But you know, I might have. And the reason why networking is good, on the other hand, and I do agree with you, Calvin, networking being in the Ramble podcast, the main MFL Discord, if you're French in the French community ones, etc., etc. If I have 7 offers for one player and one of those people adds me on Discord, has a chat with me and seems really nice, I'm probably just going to go accept their offer. I've done that quite a lot, where I just go, someone will come and go, oh, Jimbo, I really like this player, yada, yada, yada. You know, it's a low on common, in stone or in ice. Aaron, who often comes in the stream, and his brother as well. He's like, I like these 2 players. I was like, just have them on 0% for like minimum 15, 2% plus. I was like, yeah, you know, you came and actively asked, you know, asked how I was, asked me a couple of questions about MFL, was happy to help. You networked, and then I was like, right, no one else did that. Yeah. You showed initiative, I'll give you the player. That's sometimes what I go by.
Some goodwill.
Yeah, goodwill. And now I'm going to have like 50 other people coming.
Yeah.
They're going to be your players.
No, I can really imagine some people get discouraged because at one point, I don't know if it's Lamella, do you recognize his name?
I recognize the name, yeah.
He's very notorious for just, you know, putting his guy at like 18, 20%. It's like some rare player for the bronze, 20%. And then, so that you're new and then you check the auto accept and you see all those crazy things and then you send offers and they get rejected. So I can imagine you then get kind of discouraged.
Do you feel guilty about that though? For me, like my strategy this season was I want to try and lend my players that I want to develop to managers that I know and trust. You know, I don't have to know them well, as you just said. Like Aaron, is it Aaron Bailey? Or
Aaron. And
I lent some to him. I lent some to his brother. I lent some to another guy. Like probably 5 or 6 guys. And I said, look, I'd rather lend you a few players at realistic rates, like I don't know, 2 plus 3 or something like that, 3 plus 2 or whatever, you know, than send them all out to randoms. And for me, the random tax, I put like I'll start the season at the start of the transfer window. I'll put 10% for ice, especially now the rewards are a lot lower. You know, if I got the same rewards as last season, I'd get loads less because loads of the players I send out will do ice. And then I'll put 8% stone. Then maybe midway through the window, the players that haven't gone, I'll lower that down. But I would rather not send them to like random people because you get a chance. You know, 10% of fuck all is fuck all. Like if they,
amen.
If they leave their teams and don't make any changes at all, I'm not getting like 10% of 0 is 0. So it makes absolutely no difference. So for this season, it was like imperative that I made sure I got players to clubs and to managers that, you know, trust is probably a strong word, but at least I know. Hang on, rotate this guy tonight. But...
Yeah. No, I think that's really an essential part of the game, and realistic. It's like the real world. You know, why do some players like Celtic has a lot of Japanese guys? Why is that, right? It's because of connections and networking in the past, and that's also why maybe my players. There's a couple of Stone teams, Ice teams that have like 10 of my players because that guy talked to me and said you can have all of those guys, package deal. You take care of them every season. So he functions as like a satellite club. You know, I'm like the feeder club. That is also part of the game. On the other hand, I understand some concerns of people being frustrated, but yeah, that's just how it works. And I totally agree with you guys feel the same. So,
but in terms of like speculative ones, I don't think I've I can't think of a time I've ever accepted one, or maybe a first season or something like that. But I just, because I would rather get offers, when people reach out, and I've only got so many players. I dread to think what the inbox is like for people like Big Wilbert and some of the other guys that have got thousands of cards. It must be, I don't know what details they go into, but it can't be that much, like the amount of offers they get through. But some of the speculative ones, just I don't know. I would rather send a player for the same rate to somebody I know. I think that's just reality.
Yeah, good lesson. Good lesson for people listening. I think the majority of people are like that, especially indeed the smaller agencies. The bigger ones can put some like just big auto accept.
I can definitely sympathize with new users though, who maybe haven't made those networks. I think it'd be hard to get players in for the first season, and especially when you have a bunch of contract offers in for one of your players and you go, let's see what the rest of their squad looks like. Will he be losing XP because for training? And they've only got like 4 or 5 players in there, and you go, I don't know what the rest of that squad's going to look like. But that's tough because that's just the steep curve that is, that first season as being a new user. But once you get the hang of things and hopefully get some more players in, it sort of snowballs on from there. But I do sympathise with new users in that sense when it can be tough because there's nothing they can do about that to a degree.
No.
Spend money.
Yeah, there is that as well. Yeah,
this is financial advice.
Yeah, I love your intros. You're like, everything we say is. And I love the opposite. I love it.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's always a way out. But yeah, it's now. There's also people who feels like preying on them, right? Of like 15%, and people get desperate and just auto accept those 15%, and then
anything over 10. Just feels scummy.
Yeah, exactly. Never.
10, I even feel like a little bit like
fleecing them. You're like
10 up there.
But I had one situation, and then I put a lot of guys on like 6+ free, and then one guy he went nuts and he signed like 10 of mine guys, and then he ended up with like 98% ref share. and then he contacted me like, those guys will be starters. Can we get rid of the class? I did help him in the end. It was such a hassle. But then people also started hoarding kind of, and just click all auto accept, and then they realize, okay, if I have 98% ref share, I'm not gonna get so far long term with those teams. But
a lot of people do that, and they send offers out like early, like the pre-contract offers. You start getting them quite early, and generally now I just put all my guys to no offers accepted.
Yeah, unavailable.
And I wait until after like rollover day, then I open it up a bit. But before then, if you get offers, I've had people take players before and then like realise that player's probably not quite good enough, and then wanted to terminate the contract anyway. So just wait, chill out.
Yeah,
it all gets done. Like after rollover day, those first sort of 3 days, and especially after pack drop day, everything gets done around then. So just be wired in.
Definitely don't panic. Yeah, but also don't wait too long. There was, I think, in general, one guy had like a 78 rare striker still unsigned. He was like, "Yo, anyone wants this?" On match day 2, 10 hours before. Like that's also maybe not.
That's probably a little too late.
The way to go. Yeah. A bit late. All right. I had one tiny thing about the drops in the time zones. I think, Jimbo, we talked about it a little bit before. With you, mainly you, this use problem. But I think it is a bit of a bigger problem. Like we can, like how would you guys feel about like a drop at, I don't know, 5 p.m. that we make it?
5 p.m. UK, but
yeah, or 6 p.m. or something. Like more than Asia can be, 11 p.m. for them, and in America it would be like 11 a.m. They have lunch break drop. We have evening and then late night.
It's very difficult, isn't it? Like, I don't think there's an easy solution. Obviously, Footium is slightly different. I don't want to mention the
F word.
You said we can't. You said we can swear. But there's one exception.
They run them throughout the day, and I know they're looking at the moment of having the home team. Like you can choose your home team like time. So obviously when you've got an advantage,
interesting. Yeah.
Which is quite an interesting way to go, because although I don't the same as MFL, there is no like actual within the engine home advantage, or I don't believe there is anyway. I'm not an expert on Footium. But having that in your time zone, the home game, is probably a nice advantage to have. However, the one thing I love about MFL is all of the games are within a few hours of each other. Make streaming, like watching Jimbo streams, and all of those things possible, which aren't possible if the games are sort of spread out and you've got, get your game, one day is 7 p.m. and then the next day it's at 3 a.m. because you're playing somebody based out in America, and I think that trying to sort of work those things out is sort of, I don't think there's a right answer, and but I think I favour having all of the games over a shorter span as MFL does, but.
Yeah,
it's very tough.
Yeah, I agree. And even with the packs, for example, it's whichever route you go down, whichever time zone, the opportunity cost is you miss some sort of player base off, and the time zone that's currently at is most suitable for the highest percentage of the player base at that time of access to it. It's good for Europe, it's good for America, and those are the two biggest continents with the player base. That's not just
like some of the guys in Japan, like Matsuyama. Obviously a big So Rare player, has a few teams, and I know he sort of, we don't want to spoil his results because often like his games are sort of, at the wrong time for him. So he'll wake up in the morning,
middle of the night.
But
it can be really difficult. I guess one of the things, especially with drops, is to have a member of the team on who is at hand if things go flip side. If we wanted to have an Asia, Oceania, Australasia drop, for example, to account for some of those players in that regions, you would have a member of the team on. And I can't imagine, Calvin, you and I probably preferably want to do a quiz at 2-3 in the morning on a weekday sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I definitely sympathise with them from a pack point of view. But at the end of the day, you, as much as we always want to, and it might be tough for people to listen to this, you don't have to buy packs. Yeah, we all want to. We all do it. You don't have to though, but we all want to. But it's not. It's not a deal breaker. It's not a relationship breaker.
No, but it's also a bit like supply demand. Like Jimbo, you said, there is no right now. The user base is Europe and US, but that's probably also because we always had those drop times. So then what if you make it like a perfect Asia time? Maybe then, it also gets more interesting for them to join a drop or to play games because it's perfectly. So it's also a bit like, what's driving what's the supply drive demand or demand supply.
It's probably the current time zone has the highest ceiling and the highest floor.
Yeah.
Whereas at different time zone, you probably have a lower ceiling and a lower floor. That's probably where I look at it.
Yeah, and with the Continental League, what Matt talked about, like Continental, that can of course be then in proper time zones. And then the elite professional pyramid we're in can be standard time. But let's see. I do feel, and a lot of other people say it, there's so many, I said it many times before, untapped markets that could have huge potential for user growth. But that's maybe something for the future. Okay. Let's finish this episode with a great question from our last guest, Alexis, last week. He asked to you, David, do you think about MFL under the shower and in bed before you fall asleep? Is it on your mind all the time, or you can also turn off?
It's not. I'm not a typical guy. I have to take loads of medication in the evening, and normally that just knocks me out. So any thought of anything goes out the window, and generally I fall asleep. I live alone at the moment. I sort of fall asleep on the sofa half the time, so quite often I don't even make it to bed. Wrong guy. And when I'm in the shower, I'm a wash and go. I'm not sort of like I'm enjoying being in the shower. I sort of try and get in there and out in 5 minutes.
Yeah,
literally sort of splash everything. So I don't really think about anything like that when I'm in the shower and stuff. But
you
find it bizarre that people do.
But is MFL on your mind throughout the day at random moments in the supermarket and
yes, MFL is definitely
car.
on my mind. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's like my routine.
I was about to say, you have a good morning routine, don't you? I like this.
Yeah, I wake up. I go into that, put the kettle on, go and stick my sort of shorts and sweatshirt on, come back, kettle's boiled, pour the tea out, get everything going, get the TV on. First thing I do when I've got the TV on, I sit down on my sofa and I open the MFL app and I look for progression. And honestly, when that isn't there, it's heartbreaking. Like for days, even though I knew it wasn't working for days, I would still check in the faint hope that there'd be an accidental +1 in there. Yeah, it hasn't started so well. It hasn't been brilliant start to the season for progression, but I'm glad to have it.
Okay, so it's part of the.
So yeah, I
part of your routine for sure.
Yeah, I don't dream. I don't sort of think about it in the shower, but I think about it a lot. And talk about it a lot. But
good.
I find that when there's no training on, you still get the emails from MFL Assistant, and you're like, oh, daily report. Click on it, nothing. I'm like, oh. And
that's part of the reason why I kept on checking.
And even after rollover day, because they've gone up by 1 age, that report counts that as like progression. So if you go into the report on the rollover day, all your players are just there still, but there's nothing next to them. I'm like, what is that? Oh, because they've aged a year. I clicked on it, went, oh, I've got players. Players have progressed, but it's not training. So why is that? Oh, it's because they've aged a year.
They progressed 1 year.
Yeah, they progressed 1 year. Maybe put like just have, it should just be, maybe you could, if you're listening, Alexis, put and I know you are, put like a little happy birthday report into all the players. But happy birthday to all the players is the notification email.
He's probably listening. We're writing it down right now. David, any question for our next guest? Anything you want to know? Maybe something you are curious about yourself, or?
I think it's going to be an ongoing theme this season, and I think the question I wanted to ask the next guest was tactics related. I don't know who the next guest is going to be, but
that's a good
I was listening. Everything blends into one. Was it last week she had Bastison? No, not Bastis.
Alexis.
Oh,
yeah, last week. Yeah, it's last week.
And
most recently.
he was talking about doing something which a lot of people have been speaking about recently, MFL coach.
Yeah, that's what he wants to name. He's not confirmed the name, but that's like a suggested.
Yeah, as a whole.
Like a tactics assistant kind of. Yeah.
And essentially that would aggregate all of the results from the system, and you'd be able to sort of see which tactics do well against everything else. And from our early testing, there was a lot of 50% across the board, which will be absolutely no help at all. But do you think that is going too far into helping people?
Good
everybody.
Good
and my question would be, is that going too far?
Good question.
Okay, so
I'm not saying I think it's going too far.
Are we going too far? Have we gone too far? Can we still use it?
That sort of takes the mystery out of the game. Like, okay, what formation? Okay, I'm playing 4-4-2. Okay, 4-3-3 attacking works. There we go. Plug that in. Oh, good. I got the result. Blah blah blah. And you move on. And then if everybody's playing that, then the meta is to go against that and try and work out. And then it becomes even more complicated. So.
Okay. Yeah. Good question. So is MFL coach or like tactical help? Can be any other platform, of course, but yeah, going too far. But same, we talked before about like having an easy tool to check current progression, and then you could just filter by, who went up +10 by that guy, and then that's a bit too easy.
Yeah, it's always to what degree.
The mystery and the charm, right, of digging, kind of this being like a prospector finding gold. It's a big heap of.
It's like, to what degree is it eroding someone else, another manager, another user putting in a lot of effort to try and gain that edge? What point is it just more so eroding them rather than trying to help everyone else out?
Yeah, indeed. Great. Any final thoughts for anyone?
Come on, you Wyverns. No, other than that, no other thoughts.
No thoughts. Okay.
Who have the Wyverns got tonight?
Neon Knights FC, who were top of the league after game week 1, but now they're like 9th or 8th. So
yeah, that's an easier game.
This is my first game of rotating players, so I've got to be. Oh no, my second game actually of rotating players, so I'm not at my strongest, but I don't think I'll ever be at my strongest than I was on Wednesday's first opening game. Ladies and gentlemen, we are at the point of the episode where we reveal the hashtag, and this hashtag has a bit more to it this time, and you want to keep listening as to the reason why. The hashtag of this episode is hashtag WenRambly. If you're spelling that, WenRambley, WenRambly. And the reason you really want to pop that hashtag in the general Discord is because for everyone who puts that hashtag in the general Discord will be entered into a wheel being spun on next week's episode for a starter pack. Nothing too fancy, but we've got a starter pack to give away. So everyone who puts hashtag WenRambly will be involved in the prize. They'll be entered into the giveaway. So make sure you post it on there. If you spell it slightly wrong, don't worry, I'll still include you because you'll still listen. So make sure you get it on there. Before we wrap things up, returning guest David, I want to say massive thank you for coming on today's episode, giving us your insights, your expectations for Bronze League. Thank you very much for being on the podcast, man. Great to have you back.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much for inviting me. It's been an absolute delight, as it was last time.
Oh, lovely
Awesome.
stuff.
Great
I
to
love
hear.
that.
Great
Very
to hear.
cheerful and lovely. I love that.
Yes.
Right. Good luck to you both in 45 minutes time for the first of the WenRambly. Quick predictions before we leave it. Score, Calva, what's it going to be?
1-0 for me.
1-0 to the Corsair Coves.
The Corsair Cove.
David?
I have to be
I think it's going to be 2-0 to Corsair Cove. I think
okay. So then if he wins, he goes, oh, that was a shock. It's a win-win, basically. If you win, you write predictions. If you win, then, you just get 3 points. I love that.
Yeah.
Right.
Win-win. Smart.
The win-win.
I mean, I hope I win, but I don't know. Things just haven't been clicking for whatever reason at the moment.
A 3-3 draw, maybe. An entertaining one for the neutrals.
3-0 draw.
3-3
I think the
draw.
way we're lining up is not going to be a 3-3 draw. 10 at the back either side.
Well, by the time the listeners are tuning in, the result will be out there. So good luck, everyone, for the remainder of the week in your games and in the cup. Make sure you get all the cups set out, especially when we have double game days during the week this week. Hashtag WenRambly. And we'll see you this time next week for an episode of the WenDirk Cast. Thank you for listening.